G'day, it's Peter from Bundaberg Commercial. Have you ever noticed how some people are just better at doing some things than other people? I mean, for argument's sake, right now, my wife is doing one of those logic puzzles. You ever seen one of those? They say, okay, so Fred owns a brown house and has a red dog, and Marsha has a parachute and a red car. So, logically, what is the price of tomatoes down the road? Sit there, and it just makes no sense to me at all. My wife, she nuts them out. She works them out. It's amazing to see. She's just better at it than what I am. I mean, some people are just better at sports, and some people are just better at manual labor and manual dexterity type things than other people. I don't know one end of a screwdriver from the other end, no matter how many times I've tried the thing. And isn't that just wonderful how things are like that? I mean, if we're all the same, then life would be pretty boring. The challenge in life is, everybody wants to really make a difference in the world, or even if it's just make a difference in their world. And I've found that one of the secrets to actually doing that is understanding what you're gifted at. Now, we use the terms as Christians as spiritual gifts. We believe that God gives abilities in certain areas to everybody, but those abilities may be at different levels and in different spaces. In a secular world, non-Christian world, we just notice that some people are better. Like some people are better at playing sports. Some people are better at playing basketball than I am. Some people are better at playing chess than I am. There's a lot of people are better at fishing than I am. Some people are just better at customer service than what I am. And the list goes on. It's not a right or wrong. It's just a fact of life. But what you can do is you'll enjoy life a lot more if you understand what you're good at or what your spiritual gift is. There's some work done by Bill Hybels. He actually, this is when I first came across it, some decades ago now. It's still the test of time. It's still going around. It's very popular. He has a assessment where you can pick up a couple of boxes, talk to a couple of people, and it'll help you identify what you're really good at. You've probably already got an inkling on it. It may be just not the category that you're familiar with. So there's probably about 7 or 10 real gifted or talented areas that people can be tuned to. We like to have boxes, but it really depends on what definition you've got and what source of knowledge you're looking at in regards to how many spiritual gifts or talents that there are available. One of them is what's called administration. And you'll find people who are gifted in administration are ones who are really good at attention to detail, are really good at doing accountancy, for argument's sake, are really good at writing procedures and policies. It's a real talent to be able to organise things. They can organise events. That's definitely, administration is one of the talents that's available. There's also the gift of hospitality. Some people are just better at throwing parties than others are. You can find those who have got a gift of hospitality. They've always got parties going on, or they might be in things like event management. They may even be in areas of tourism, customer service focus. People in that sort of space will usually have a strong presence or above average ability, for argument's sake, in regards to the area of hospitality. Leadership is another capability. Look, let's be honest, some leaders are better than others. It's the way of the world. And understanding if you're good at leadership, you may find that you've got two people who've had gone through university, gone through the same sort of training, same background, but one's just better at organising things and running companies and businesses than what other people are. Coaches in sporting fields, some coaches are just better than others. Some leaders are better than others. It's another spiritual gift. Then you've got some of the softer parts. You've got helps, which is a spiritual gift. We would call it like the ability to care. And you can find these in the nursing industry, in the NDIS capability. I really marvel at the ability and happiness that some of the carers can have, particularly again in aged care as well as working with disability. You can just see it coming through their pores on how they're loving what they're doing and helping the person that they're helping. It's just a gift. I'm sorry, I'm not one who's like that. I can probably help, dear old Dottie across the street, but that's about as far as I go. And then it's not something I'm really good at and not passionate about. And you can have a look at others like ability of faith, those who have hope and can hang in there in those tough times is another one. There's a gift of giving. Some people are just comfortable giving. Yeah, it can be giving of their time, it can be giving of their skills, it can be giving of their property, it can be giving of their finances. You'll quite often find that people who have a spiritual gift of giving also seem to have the accompanying gift of being able to make money, which is pretty handy at times for obvious reasons. So, giving is definitely something, and you'll find that some people are just miserable misers. That's the way they've been built, the way they've been designed. It's no right or wrong. It's just they will have different gifts in different areas. Other things that we've got is the ability to prophesy. Some people can just pick things coming up from the future. Some people understand interpretations from God better than others do. You've got other ones like healing. They're sensational. We have two people in our church. Unfortunately, one actually he passed away recently. They they can just pray for people and magic happens. Miracles of God happen and healing comes through of all sorts of things. We have had a gentleman at church. He was a visiting pastor, and he had the gift of healing. And he had one of our elderly people who has had one leg shorter than others, the other one, um, for almost ever. And just by rubbing and, in about 30 seconds later, he was walking for the first time without a leg because he was able to, lengthen the leg. That's all through God. But, I could rub that lady's leg. Nothing's going to happen. It's not my gift, but it was his gift. And it was very exciting to see. Other ones that we've got is the gift of teaching. You see that teaching is pretty well at schools, education level, Sunday school. Once again, coaches and sports are in that area. There's a gift of discernment. We used to call it the BC indicator, the bullcrap indicator. Some people can just pick it a mile away, and they very rarely get conned by whatever is going on. They have a discernment. They know when a situation might be dangerous and will lead others to stay away from that area. So you've got that as an area of discernment. Um, and I think music and arts and worship would be another spiritual gift. Some people sing better than others. Just about everybody sings better than me, but and some people are musical. Yeah, I remember me months to try and learn how to play a guitar, and it just was not happening. Tone deaf, no rhythm, no rhyme. Couldn't get the chords right. And others, they'll pick up multiple instruments. The ones who are gifted in, particular arts and music. So you can go on to Bill Hybel's website, and I'll probably put that in as an attachment in the notes. And you can do a quiz which will help you identify what you are good at. Now, you'll find when you work it out, people say, "Yeah, of course, we've always known you've been good at this." And you may sit there and say, "Yeah, actually, I do." And it's might be something that you enjoy. You know, you'll know it straight away when someone will come in and you see a situation, and let's say you've got the gift of administration. People are trying to file something, and it just drives you nuts. You push them aside, fix it all up, sort it out, give it back to them. Right, that's good. You were frustrating me. So you have a rough idea on what your giftedness is. The other part of the equation, the successful life, is what we were talking about here, is knowing what you're good at and also applying that to what you're passionate about. If you are good at something and you apply that to a field of passion, it's like a double whammy. That's when you are the most impactful for your environment and for yourself. I'll share a story. When I did my spiritual giftedness course, it came across that my giftedness was in administration as well as leadership. Yeah, and you will often have a cluster of two or three gifts. It's not just very rare that you have one and one only. And we had to sit down and try and then work out, well, what am I passionate about? What should I apply my gift of administration to? And I tried to fit in with the crowd and come up with a normal response. And I said to my pastor, I said, "Oh, I've got the passion of business," and you've probably already picked that up if you've watched any of my videos. So naturally, if we found a administrative function in business, then I would probably be really impactful, particularly if it was in a leadership spot. Then I thought a bit more about it, and one of the things he said was, if you're struggling to work out what your passion is, have a think. If you had 2 or 3 hours and you could do anything you wanted, what would you do? And to me, it was easy. Fortunately, it wasn't business. It was actually playing chess. I went up to him and said, "Look, yeah, I'm passionate about business, but I think the real thing I'm passionate about, if I had 4 hours to do anything I wanted to, I'd probably study or play chess." He says, "Oh, no, Peter, that's not a passion." I said, "No, no, it definitely is." And he just looked at me and good on you, Bob. He just sort of said, "Well, it'll be interesting to see how you put that together." So what happened? Well, I actually went on and in conjunction with my wife and my church, we started a ministry and we started to run the big chess tournaments in Queensland. And we did it underneath the banner of the Christian Chess Club. So we started up an organization, it was just a ministry, and we ran some of the big chess tournaments in Queensland, some of the biggest in Australia. And we did that for several years. And it was great. You can definitely see that, the ability of administration and even the rest of the church. We had the canteens going, we had a small bookstore going, we had people just helping the parents who might have been going through some tough times. We'd taken care of heaps of kids. We had food and all sorts of stuff. It was a fantastic, almost a fair experience that when we did those 3 tournaments and they went over like 2 days. Barbecues, the guys were out there doing it. We had people maintaining the premises. It's just some incredible things going on. And that is an example of when I was in my sweet spot. I had harnessed my spiritual gifts with what I was passionate about. Now, I still play chess, but I'm very much still passionate about business. And we look at things like sharing the leadership, the stuff I've learnt over the countless decades now, as well as the ability of administration in regards to how do we actually operationalize business. So that's what this video is about. It's a little bit about sharing my passion in regards to business, and it's tweaking that area of my giftedness in regards to areas in leadership. So have a think, do that quiz with Bill Hybels and work out for yourself, what are you good at? And then I think if you had 4 hours and you could do anything, what would you do? Because that would probably indicate what your passion is. And then, of course, hit it for 6, work out how do you combine your passion with your spiritual gift. And that's when you're going to start changing the world, if not just changing your world. So I'd love to get some comments on this. Tell me what you're good at and what your passion is and what you want to have a look at achieving. Should be some really good really good discussions. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and you'll see other videos that come through, and it'll also remind you to have a look what others say in regards to your comments. All right. Thanks very much for your time. Until next week, take care and God bless.